What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 179 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. And also new subscribers, make sure you click the bell to the right of subscribe so you get notified when those new videos drop. And also be sure to check out the Discord. I'll have a link in the description below. Hope everybody's had a pleasant weekend. Today we're going to be picking up where we left off on our farm. So let's kick back, relax, and jump right into this. We've got about a 26-minute episode today, and we're just going to be doing a couple of things here. I think what we might end up adding here along the floor, because it's slightly dark in this room, I think we're going to do a cut going along the floor maybe. And we can swap those out with sea lanterns, or we can change this out to the sand like we're going to be adding right now. But you can definitely add in those sea lanterns and cover that up with the carpeting is what I was trying to get at, to help brighten that up just a little bit. But no, we're slowly starting to wind down on the Enterprise D. There's only going to be a few episodes left before we mark this thing as done, and then from there I'll be switching over to Voyager. But there's probably going to be a slight gap in between episodes. I haven't figured out if I'm just going to take a slight break from doing YouTube videos while I build Voyager, or I might end up doing another video series while I'm building it. Or maybe a couple. I might put out some more episodes of Planet Coaster. I haven't really decided yet. I'm just going to kind of play that by ear and see what happens. But the one rule that I'm going to stick by is I'm not going to start the tutorial for Voyager at least until the outside of the ship is done. So this way I have enough breathing room so that I can build out whatever I need to and not catch up with myself. So anyway, getting in a little bit what we got going on here, you can see that we've done an outline in sand, so that's going to simulate a beach line, and then we're going to add in a nice little lake. You want to make sure we go along our edges here and add in that water, make sure everything's nice and even. In the left-hand corner there, that one's a little bit low there. We probably should have hit that too, but I missed it. And now we're going to get rid of the rest of this white concrete and just do the same going down so everything matches. We're not going to have the beach going all the way down, but we definitely want things to match up a little bit. And this area right here is going to be our entryway point to get into the side of our farm. That's looking pretty good. So now we just got to put up a couple of pillars and make a doorway, and maybe put a slight wall up. But we're getting there. Slowly but surely we're getting there. This farm, like I said, it's not going to be anything big. Really the main focus of this room is just going to be to make it be something that's attached to the mess hall so that you have the impression that not everybody is going to want to eat from the replicators, so we'll have that live food source to go off of. It just kind of makes sense to add that in. And to be honest with you, I've just been trying to have a little bit of fun building the Enterprise D, so you can get away with stuff like this. You know, if there's rooms that you want to add into your ship that maybe weren't showcased on the show, if you can find a reason to justify it, I say go for it. Why not? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I say this all the time when people question me on canon and things like that, you know, it's a made-up ship. And as long as you're not trying to change, if you're trying to go within canon, as long as you're not changing anything, as long as you're adding things in addition to it, I really don't see it as that much of a big deal because, you know, there's just only so much of the Enterprise D that we've been fortunate enough to see. So there's, no matter what you do, there's going to be gaps that we're just going to have to fill in. I probably could have easily have spent another year working on just the interior of the Enterprise D. That's how big this thing was. There was a lot of stuff that I intended that I wanted to get into, but we didn't quite get the chance to get there because I lost the save file. And it is what it is. I'm just taking that as a sign that, it's time to move on to something else. Because, like I said, easily, you could have put another year into this thing, but, regardless of the amount of work that I've been able to get done on it, I've had a blast working on the Enterprise D, and I'm very much looking forward to getting into a new build. Really looking forward to doing Voyager and some other builds that we'll have coming in the future as well. Alright, so we're in pretty good shape right now. I think what we're going to start doing here is adding in a couple of trees. We don't have a lot of room to work with, but we've got just enough to where we can put a couple of small trees in here just to liven it up just a little bit. And I'm looking for vines. I'm looking at the different types of plants and stuff. Anything that maybe might stand out, might have an alien look to it, we're going to be grabbing that and trying to maybe add that in certain spots where we can, where it makes sense. And then we're going to add a nice little lip. And the reason I'm adding a lip now is I want this to match with the rest of the design in this room. You could always just throw a half slab there and call it a day. Alright, looking pretty good so far. We're not doing too bad. We still have about 19 minutes left. I was going to break this episode up into two, and I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it one episode. So this episode and the next episode are going to be somewhat long, because remember that today's episode, I think it was like 26 minutes, and then the next one following this episode is like 28 minutes. So I'm just going to do those in one shot. I'm probably going to end up only doing 2 episodes this week, and probably lowering the Enterprise D down to 2 episodes weekly, just so I have a little, because what I'm trying to do, I need to get on Minecraft and start building Voyager out. I just honestly, I haven't had the time, as I've been having some stuff going on between work, personal life, you name it. I just really haven't had a bunch of time to really get on and start building it, but I promise I will very soon. Because I'd like to be in a position where I don't really have that much of a gap between the two if I can help it. But I mean, you know what, if there is, it's not really that big of a deal, because I've been kind of just doing the episodes where I just keep putting them out. I'm not doing any type of season or anything like that. But I've actually been thinking about that a little bit. That might be something that ends up coming. Now, that's not to say that I'm just going to do like one season a year or something like that. But I'm kind of thinking that I might start breaking these builds up into seasons and having maybe a slight gap in between them, just giving myself a little bit of a chance to recover in between them, because it can be a lot. Because before I started doing these tutorials, kind of the way that I'd build on Minecraft, I get on, I build for a while, I get off, I take a break for a couple of months and come back to it. That's just kind of how the way that I am with building. I have to be like feeling that inspiring vibes to get on and want to build. And I've been like that with any game that involves building, like Ark Survival Evolved, Planet Coaster, Roller Coaster Tycoon, you name it, any type of building game. I've always been like that. I'll get on and I'll play for a little bit, and then I'll take a couple of months off to kind of recharge and figure out what else I want to build. So I'm thinking that's probably what I'm going to end up doing here, where, like I said, I'm going to split these up into seasons, and every ship build will be its own individual season. I think that'll be pretty good, and it should work out pretty well. Excuse me, just sneezed my head off. Um, but anyway, we do have a lot of cool stuff coming up on the channel after the Enterprise D. You know, like I said, we've got Voyager coming up, and we're slowly but surely creeping up on 1,000 subscribers. And once we hit 1,000, you know, we've got the Star Trek Beyond Enterprise A retrofit that we'll be doing a tutorial for. I'm really looking forward to doing that build because I think that's probably going to end up being one of the best builds that I've done. I've been prepping that thing out for months, and I can't wait to get into that one. I've got a couple other builds that I've been eyeing too, because those of you that follow my channel know that outside of Star Trek and Lower Decks, or outside of Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, as far as the Star Trek shows, I'm not really feeling the new shows all that much. Now, that being said, you know, that's why I started off with Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, because those two shows have been fantastic. They've been killing it. But Picard and Discovery have been something to be desired a little bit, in my opinion. And we just lost the B. He escaped. We'll have to kill him. But anyway, the one only saving grace that I have with Picard is that this past season they built a lot of new ships, which is awesome because now we have more stuff that we can kind of chew on for a while. I hope that they keep that trend going. They keep making new ship classes so we have stuff that we can build. But one of them that I saw that was really cool is the new Excelsior class. That ship looks awesome. But I'm going to notice some continuity issues because those of you that have watched the teaser trailer for Star Trek Picard Season 3, they show the new Titan. And I got some information I was reading up on that shit on TrekMovie.com. And long story short, a lot of people were criticizing that the new Titan feels like a Kirk era ship, and it doesn't really make all that much sense because we're in the TNG era. Well, I guess the creators of the show were saying how the Sovereign class and ships like that were designed specifically to fight the Borg, and now that they're not doing that anymore, they're going back to a more traditional exploratory way of building ships. Another thing that they mentioned, they didn't say the Enterprise E. I'll have to find the interview. If I can find it, I'll post it in the description below. But if you go on TrekMovie.com, it was one of the links, articles that they had up where they were talking about Season 3 of Picard. And they mentioned that one of the reasons that they went back to a saucer dish as opposed to an oval one was because that there was a certain Sovereign class that went into an atmosphere and the hull basically collapsed on itself. So that's going to be, I guess that's going to be something that we'll be seeing going forward with new ships that are going to be built, that we're going to see the circles coming back as opposed to the ovals for the dish. Now, and it took me a minute to get there, but there was a reason why I just said all that, because with continuity, it's making me wonder now because, well, if you look at the build side of it, if Starfleet isn't going to be using ovals anymore because it's maybe hazardous, then why are they having new ship classes come out with an oval instead of a saucer, like the new Excelsior class? That might honestly give me a reason to ever so slightly redesign the new Excelsior, because the one and only thing that I don't like about it is that the saucer is an oval instead of a full-on circle. I think it would benefit from having a circle and it'll look a lot better. So if and when I ever do that new Excelsior class, don't be surprised if I do decide to change up the saucer section from an oval to a circle, just for that reason. And also, just because I think it would look a lot cooler. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of cool new ships that they've been adding. I honestly hope that after Picard Season 3 is done, I would like to see another show set within the TNG era. Maybe that focuses on Captain Riker or Worf, but it would be cool to have one of those other legacy characters, but they're in Starfleet. I think that was one of my biggest gripes with Picard, is that I just wanted a TNG sequel, and instead we got kind of a side spin-off that focused on just Picard. And while Picard's cool, he was never one of those characters where every episode was just about him. It was always about a lot of other people. And while he had his episodes and he was entertaining, to have a whole season just about him, I think that they could have. Let me rephrase. They could have gotten a lot of those story plot points across, and also still do a sequel show to TNG and have the original cast back for all 3 seasons. I think it would have made people a lot happier than what they ended up doing. But we'll see. I was talking about this with my brother. There's another era I'd actually love to see them explore, and that's the era after Kirk, but before Picard. There's a 78-year gap that they just don't explore at all. It would be really cool to get a Sulu show. I mean, they talk about diversity and stuff, but I mean, there still has yet to be a Star Trek show or movie where there was a lead that was Asian in culture. That would be very cool. Obviously, George Takei is too old to play Sulu at this point. Maybe they could have him involved in some capacity, like maybe he's retired talking about his younger years and they cast a younger actor to play Sulu when he's captain. That would be cool, though. Even, exploring the Enterprise C and stuff like that. Like I said, there's a lot of time in between there that they can get into. And once they start getting towards the end of that, maybe you can even start peppering in some of those legacy characters from TNG before that era. Like I said, there's just so much that they can do. I hope that they continue to listen to what the fans have been wanting, because I feel like, and I said this before, that with Picard, it's done. The only thing that they were able to add into the show, as far as what fans have been saying, is the ships, because like with season 1, we had all those ships. That wasn't Starfleet, it was just one ship class, and they listened to the fans. But as far as everything else with the writing, it was kind of all said and done. They couldn't change anything. But I feel like even Discovery was another one. Like, this was another thing I was talking about with my brother. Like, it's crazy. Like, season 4 of Discovery, that should have been season 1, like, from the get-go. Like, if they just started Discovery off 1,000 years in the future, and, and not even have, that you're bringing people from Kirk's era into the future, just have the show take place in the future, 1,000 years. You can do whatever you want, and nobody can say anything. And I don't think anybody would have complained. But when they started changing all this stuff with canon, and just the way that they presented the show, I think it pissed a lot of people off. Sometimes it can take a couple of seasons for Star Trek to really pick up momentum. I think TNG was the same thing. Like, the first 2 seasons were okay, but it wasn't until they got into season 3 where it really started picking up. But with Discovery, I feel like season 4 should have been their season 1. But we'll see what happens with it. I'm hoping that they don't rush, even with Strange New Worlds, like bringing in... I know that they're bringing Kirk in with season 2, and that was even another one I was kind of hoping, like, well, why don't you wait until like season 4 or season 5 to bring Kirk in? Because I'm hoping to get, 7 seasons out of this show, and it would make sense that you wouldn't really have Kirk come along until the end. But I get it. They got to have reasons to get people excited, but hopefully some of those other legacy cast members, like Scotty, for example, and Bones, hopefully they'll wait a while to add them on. But no, I've been really enjoying Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I thought season 1 was great, but if I'm being perfectly honest, the first and last episode of season 1 were my favorites. It was like perfect 101 of writing Star Trek. I've said this before, there's a manual somewhere at Paramount that Gene Roddenberry wrote on how to write the perfect Star Trek episode, and they must have found it at least for those 2 episodes. The other episodes weren't bad, decent, but I wasn't thrilled that they killed off Hemmer, and the rest of the seasons they just weren't all that great. Um, but yeah, the first and last episodes in Strange New Worlds were fantastic. Now Lower Decks has honestly, I feel like every season the show's been getting better, and I've just been loving everything that they've been doing with it. Um, it's crazy because you really have to be like a hardcore Star Trek fan just to even get half the jokes in the show. And I appreciate that because it seems like they made like a show like Family Guy or something along those lines, but for Star Trek fans. And that's a show that I could see going on potentially for 15 seasons if they wanted to. As you look at shows like Family Guy, Futurama, South Park, those shows they just keep going, and as long as they have stuff to go off of and the show's good, that's like the one Star Trek show that I could see easily surpassing 7 seasons. Anyway, I've been rambling on this whole episode talking about my likes and dislikes with the shows. Haven't really talked too much about what we got going on here, but to be honest with you, a lot of this is just kind of self-explanatory. You know, we're just adding in our detailing. This back wall here is going to end up being a brush. So, or like a hedge, kind of like a background wall. I totally had a brain fart there. But yeah, we'll have some like hedges in the background for the wall. I think we'll make that 2 high actually, or even 3. Might bring it all the way up to the ceiling. What we'll do 2 high first. We'll see how that looks. It might honestly be better to do 2 all the way down because right now we've got 3 high, but as we go back, we're only going to have 2 high to work with. And that might cause a problem. It might not look right with it being a different height as we go back. So it might just be better off having that be green, or excuse me, not green, 2 high all the way back. That looks pretty good. And what I'm doing now is I'm going along my cut line here on the inner part of the wall, and I'm switching that out for the hedge. And I'm doing the same, and I'm taking this design cue from the mall area. I did the same thing in the mall where I had the hedge going along the roof too, just to add in a little bit more greenery. That doesn't look too bad. We might be able to get away with that, and I think that'll look pretty good. Except that row that I'm taking out here, I don't think that works because it looks like I'm cutting into a corridor. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. What we'll probably have to do is go on the outside of the ceiling just to double check where that is. And if that is in a corridor, we're going to have to take that out because that's going to pose a problem. But if that's just empty space up there, we can just put a block on top of that just to seal it up. And I think that'll look just fine. I totally did not mean to delete that door, but I'm closing it up because I don't want any of my bees to escape and I'm going to have to hunt them down. Unless you want bees just free roaming your ship. In that case, I mean, hey, leave the door open. Yeah, I was going to go on the roof here, but I kind of sealed up my access points. So what I'm going to have to probably do is delete a block in the ceiling to go above. The easiest way to get up there is just to delete one of those blue blocks. And yeah, see, that green that we added in the ceiling, that's not going to work because that is in our corridor. We're going to have to get rid of that. And hey, you know, it happens. It was worth trying, but it's probably not going to look too good if you're walking along a stretch of corridor and you just have green shrubs on the floor. It's going to look weird. So we got to get rid of that. It might actually work out this way too, because this was almost borderline of maybe having too many green shrubs. So we could still leave it on the outside band, or excuse me, the inside band, but that outer wall here, that's really the side we gotta get rid of. This right side, we can leave that. And now we're just gonna add in some more vines. And now I think what we're missing, because this is kind of how I look at it. The right side of this area is like a farm. The left side is almost like a makeshift miniature park. So one thing that we're missing is a seating area. So we got that seating area in. Now we will have to come into this room at least one more time, as I think I want to add in some railing. But aside from that, we're in pretty good shape, and we're pretty much at the finish point on this room. We just have one or two minor things to wrap up, and then we'll be done with it. But I do think this is a good place to stop for today. We'll pick up again in the next episode, but yeah, we'll cut this off right where it's at. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me support the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Don't forget to hit the bell on the right so you get notified when my new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you have any questions regarding today's episode, be sure to drop a comment below or in Discord. Any build suggestions, be sure to go on Discord under the build suggestion tab so you can add your ship or build that you want to see me do, and other people can vote on it. Or if you're just dropping by to say, hey, drop a comment below or in Discord. I love hearing from everybody. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. And I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section. Post your pictures in Discord. I'd love to see them.